So in this video, we are going to review and practice a bunch of concepts and terms related to blood types, including which blood types are compatible, which antigens are present in each blood type, and which antibodies are present in each blood type. So I think this video will be appropriate for pretty much anybody, no matter where they are in their learning phase, because I'm going to ask questions, give you time to think about it, but I'm also going to explain the concepts and why the answers are the correct answers. So first, main basic concept, what is an antigen? So an antigen is an ID tag that is hanging on the outside of your cell that allows your immune system to differentiate self from non-self. So you may have learned the definition in some other class that an antigen is a foreign particle that causes an immune response. And that's not exactly wrong, but it is important to recognize that you have antigens too. It's just your immune system should not be having an immune response against your antigens, because when you're a young child, your immune system is kind of taking stock of what antigens are present in your body, and it's training your immune system cells to not react against those antigens. However, whenever any foreign antigens enter your body, the immune system is going to destroy them. What is an antibody and what does it have to do with this? An antibody is one of the ways that your immune system can mount a defense against foreign antigens. The antibody does not do anything against the antigens directly. An antibody is doing what? So an antibody is a protein that fits the shape of the specific antigen. So the receptor on the antibody binds to the antigen, and it's going to act as a please destroy this tag. So when antibody binds to antigen, that is going to attract other immune system cells to come destroy that. When we have an antibody plus an antigen, what do we call that? We just call that an antigen-antibody complex, and that's what's going to get destroyed by the immune system. Now this antibody here, you can see it doesn't just have one receptor, which means it can bind to multiple antigens. The fact that it can bind to multiple antigens causes what to occur? So the fact that this one antibody can grab multiple cells is going to cause agglutination. So not only is the antigen-antibody complex acting as kind of a beacon that's attracting other immune system cells, but it is also sort of gathering all of the foreign antigens up into one place, like putting all your garbage in one basket. There are 3 common antigens found on human red blood cells. What are they? A, B, and Rh. What do A, B, and Rh have to do with blood type? Blood type is telling you what antigens are present on those blood cells. What does A, B, and O mean in regards to blood type? So A means we have A antigens, B equals B antigens, O means we have neither A nor B. That's an important point, is the fact that O is not an antigen. O is the absence of an antigen. We know we can have A negative, B negative, B positive. What does the negative and positive mean in regards to antigens? So positive means you have Rh antigens. Negative equals you do not have Rh antigens. So on this slide, I have made a couple different red blood cells that all have different antigens hanging off of them. Based on the antigens present here, what is the blood type? So that is A positive because it has an A antigen, positive because it has the Rh antigen. Here, this would be B negative. Bottom left has no antigens, so it would be O negative. And the last one, AB positive. All right, so those are the antigens. What antibodies are going to be present? So remember, the immune system is going to create antibodies for antigens you don't have. So there are 3 antibodies against human blood cells, and those would be anti-A, anti-B, anti-Rh. So A positive would make anti-B. It would not create anti-A or anti-Rh because if it did, that anti-A and anti-Rh would bind to your blood cells and cause your immune system to destroy your blood cells. So you only create antibodies against antigens you don't have. So B negative would have anti-A and anti-Rh. O negative would have all 3, whereas AB positive has all 3 antigens, so they would make no antibodies. For donate to and receive from, first you need to make sure, can you go write down this list and say the antigens for every single one? Now, the reason we want to think about the antigens is because really with donate to and receive from, you don't have to think about anything except one single thing, which is for donate to, you can't give someone antigens they weren't born with. For receive from, you cannot receive antigens you weren't born with, because if you received antigens you weren't born with, your immune system would mount a defense against that foreign antigen and destroy it. So when you're thinking through these answers, especially when you're first learning, ask yourself yes or no for every single blood type and make sure you're really considering those rules. Am I giving them an antigen that they weren't born with? Because if you are, you shouldn't be doing that. All right, so let's try for A negative. Go write down the list. Tell yourself yes or no for every single one. Can we give A negative to A positive? Yeah, sure, because we're not giving them anything they weren't already born with. Their immune system has no way to know, hey, I didn't make that blood cell, because all it's going to see is the A flag. It's going to recognize it. It's going to be fine with it. So, you might be following along just fine right now, and this might all make sense to you, but sometimes what happens is later people get this question in their head of, well, why can A negative donate to blood type AB positive or negative when blood type A negative makes anti-RH and anti-B? So how can I be giving this A negative to a blood type that contains B when A negative makes antibodies against B and RH? So the answer is we only care about the immune system of the destination, the recipient, because the blood that's being donated, we are only donating red blood cells. We're getting rid of the antibodies, we're getting rid of the white blood cells, and we're only giving them red blood cells. So the immune system on this end of the arrow does not matter. All right, so another way to think about this, to simplify it for yourself, is on the donate to side, you want to try to identify the antigens present, and you can give to somebody so long as they have all of the antigens you have. So in the case of A negative, you can give to anyone that has A antigens. Now let's try the receive from end of things. Remember, the only rule, you can't receive antigens you weren't born with. So go right down the list, tell yourself yes or no for every single one. Another way to think about the receive from end of things is identify what antigens you can receive, but also what antigens you can't receive. A negative cannot receive B or RH because they don't have B or RH. So if you go right down the list and eliminate all the blood types that have B or RH, the remainder is your answer. So let's try the same for O positive. We're going to go right down the list. Try to say yes or no before that arrow pops up. Remember, that's fine, because when you take that O positive and put it into A positive, you're not giving them anything new or different. They see that RH flag, they recognize it from their blood cells that also have RH. It's okay. So once again, on the donate to side, another way to think about it is you can give to anyone that has the antigens you have. So O positive can give to anyone with RH antigens. Now let's look at the receive from side. So another way to think about this is, what antigens can't you receive? O positive can only receive RH. They can't receive A or B antigens. eliminate everybody that has an A or a B, and you are left with your answer. This slide, I've gotten rid of your visual prompt of the antigens, but hopefully you should remember them well enough that you can still answer. So once again, go right down the list. So for B positive, we can think of this like, we can donate to anyone so long as they have B and Rh antigens. All right, receive from, go right down the list. So for B positive, they can receive B antigens, they can receive Rh antigens. You cannot give them A antigens. So anybody that has an A is off the list. So long as they don't have an A, it's okay. So starting with donate to, AB negative to O negative. So they can only donate to people that have A and B antigens, which means they can only donate to AB negative and AB positive. On the receive end of things, they can receive any negative blood type because they can receive A, they can receive B. It's only Rh that they can't receive. So as long as there's no Rh, it's good. All right, so if a lot of this information was new to you, or maybe even if you're just a little bit fuzzy, I would highly suggest if you want to retain this information, you create and complete this little chart. Please resist asking me any questions about what this chart should look like until you have tried to fill it out yourself. I would also suggest that anything that you weren't familiar with, you want to make sure you write it down, because just because you understood it does not mean you will remember it. A lot of people get very discouraged because they feel like they're stupid or they have amnesia because they learn something, they understand it, and then later they're like, oh my God, whatever that person said makes sense, but I don't know what it was. That's just how memory works. So if you can't define all of those terms just by looking at them, and if you can't define them in a way where a family member or somebody that was not in your class could understand them, that's a sign that you don't really know them yourself yet, and you need to write it down. So for anybody that's having trouble with the donate to / receive from, my advice to you is the first time you fill out those columns, make sure you're using those training wheels. You know, have all those blood types written out, have the rules written out, visually cue yourself through the whole process, think through every step. Don't just go right for the answer, think through the logic of it. Then, once you're comfortable, Try filling it out again, and this time just think through the steps. So you're still doing all the same stuff, it's just this time you're keeping the information in your head to think through it, rather than having like some sort of visual cue to cue yourself through all the steps. If you're making mistakes, put the training wheels back on, and don't sit there and just struggle with it. Take a break, try the next day. The reason I say the next day is because while you are sleeping, some of these bits of information are going to get into your long-term memory. So this thing that might feel really hard today, after you've gone to bed and you wake up, will not feel so hard. And once you feel comfortable thinking through the steps, last stage is have somebody ask you in a random order. At that stage, you should be able to do it in a random order. And you want to make sure that you try that, because if you're only ever doing it by literally filling out the entire chart, then on your test, when you're not going through the process of the whole chart and you just need to get to this one bit of information, you might find like, oh no, I can't do this. And it's better to realize that before you're sitting down for your exam. Last thing, I do not mind answering questions. I really don't. I love when people ask me questions, but do not ask me about donate to and receive from for specific blood types unless you are also telling me what you think the correct answer is. And I'm not just saying that to be mean or grouchy. It's because you need to learn how to logic your way to the answer. And if you're not at least trying, you will never learn. So I want to see that you at least made an attempt to try. Put the training wheels on, give it a go. You should be able to get to the correct answer. All right. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day and have fun learning.